This is definitely a topic I want to talk about because there has been a lot of talk now that Goldberg is a free agent from WWE. And of course, everybody wants to know what is Goldberg's next move. Now, I can't speak for AEW. I can't speak for WWE. And I sure as hell can't speak for Bill Goldberg. But what I could say, as somebody who watches wrestling and talks about all of the latest wrestling news and all of the stories that are surrounding, everything in the world of wrestling, I think this is actually the right move, like Goldberg going to AEW. And I know it sounds crazy, and I cannot wait to see the comments on this one, which is probably why I'm making this on more Ango to begin with, because I really want to spend some time talking about this. But it really comes down to a couple different factors as to why AEW should sign Goldberg. There's something called momentum. And in AEW, this is the biggest thing that they struggle with. When momentum is hot for somebody, they find a way to drop the ball. And I'm not telling you an opinion. Like, that's a fact. Like, if you watch AEW and you saw Wardlow's run last year, and you look at what Wardlow's doing, that company cooled him off fast. And the thing is, you can fix that. And you could fix that by bringing in Goldberg. Goldberg being implemented right away into AEW television for a massive match at Double or Nothing against Wardlow could be money. Now, you got to remember, AEW will always be compared to WCW, and they got Tony Schiavone, they got Sting, they got a lot of other resemblances to WCW. So bringing in Goldberg is definitely not the first time somebody will compare them to WCW, and it probably won't be the last. But the idea that AEW could bring in Goldberg in a match against Wardlow and use that to finally fix this mess that they have with Wardlow, I think that is the right idea. I think that is clearly the best idea. I don't know what's going on with this TNT Championship. I've already made videos on it. I've already talked about it. I'm very public in the fact that I think that title is treated like garbage. Don't really care what anybody has to say about that because realistically, that's just my opinion. I look at the results every week. I'm watching the show every week. I see the title. When it does get defended, it's the Hot Potato Championship. And I think if you really, really want to build the next big babyface in pro wrestling, you got to do that with somebody who has the ability to connect with fans. And just historically speaking, we have seen Wardlow get over with the fans. So this is what I would do. Allow me to explain. I would have Wardlow versus Goldberg in AEW. I would have Goldberg come in as the heel, 1,000%. And I would do everything possible to get the most possible heat on Goldberg because he's automatically going to go in there and AEW fans won't like him. In his promos, I'm only here for the money. I'm only here for the check. I'm only here for the TV time. That right there would just really piss people off, especially in AEW. You have Wardlow come in, and Wardlow says this is his problem now. He's going to take care of it. And you should literally do this feud where Wardlow goes to Double or Nothing and defeats Goldberg. That right there would be a very big way to push Wardlow going forward. And you know what? MJF is going to need a very serious babyface contender to take the belt off of his hands. Wardlow would be the guy. After that, there's no way you can deny that. I think at that point, with Wardlow going over Goldberg, saving AEW from the guy who is only there to make money and whatever, I think you can do a lot of things there. And I would only use Goldberg in a very, very limited capacity. You bring him in, you pay him. AEW has the money to pay him. You make that investment. You do that. And the thing is, this is an investment that gets Wardlow back on track. Because right now, if you put Wardlow with Samoa Joe or Powerhouse Hobbs, that is not going to help Wardlow's career. And it doesn't make logical sense for him to go after MJF right now when his career is very cold. By the way, if you ever follow my social media content or if you ever follow any of my videos, especially on my main channel, there's like thousands of videos uploaded. AEW has a very great young core that are going to be the future of this company. They don't have that many veterans. They do have a few, but they don't have that many really valuable big name veterans that can afford to necessarily just give somebody a win, right? We saw Jericho give Andretti a win. They never capitalized off that. Goldberg probably wouldn't be in the company long term. So in this case, if you have Goldberg go in there, Wardlow wins, it ends up being such a great thing for the company where I just don't think you could even deny it. And with Goldberg being the bad guy, being the heel, it works on so many different levels, because knowing that AEW audience, they would reject him if he was a babyface. And that's really what it comes down to. If you're AEW, you cannot be in a situation where you bring Goldberg in as a babyface. You can't be putting him in there with Kenny Omega. You can't be putting him in there with Hangman Page or Jon Moxley or any one of those matchups. This needs to be one of those things where, because it's such a move that is out of left field, by the way. You got to remember that. Goldberg coming into the company is such a move that you don't expect that from AEW. They haven't done something like that before. So the idea of him coming in and saying, yeah, I'm only here for the money. I'm back on TNT. I'm back on TBS. I'm back, I'm back on Turner. Like, the idea of Goldberg doing something like that, it would just be so great, because the heat would be unimaginable. It would be so legit. And then the best part is, whoever were to compete against him, it would be massive. And by the way, if you don't want to have Wardlow do it, there's other guys who could be in that position. I just think Wardlow is one of those guys who has been affected by losing momentum. And that really comes down to it, whether you guys want to admit this or not. And this is like not a hatred thing. Like, this is not a negativity thing. This is not me being tribalism, because I don't believe in that shit. They have a very good core group of people that, like, I think all of them could bounce back. Some of them haven't been booked bad. You know what I mean? Wardlow is a guy where it's like, okay, he's TNT champion, then he drops the TNT championship, and then this happens, that happens. It's like lack of plans, lack of vision, This would be the thing that immediately puts him over. I think if you're Tony Khan, you have to do this. But again, I can't tell Tony Khan how to spend his money. He knows what his profits and everything is. We don't. Nobody on YouTube does. But if you're AEW, you're going into the summer, you're going to be going into TV negotiations. You need, which, by the way, I talk very highly about their partnership with Warner Media Discovery. It seems publicly, the way that everything has been worked out so far, it seems like that is a great television partner for them to have. Which could be said, it could be saying a lot of things for AEW, because the next TV deal could be a big one. But imagine if you're Tony Khan, you bring in Goldberg, you get this massive feud in, Wardlow defeats Goldberg, Wardlow becomes the guy, Wardlow becomes the guy that's doing signings and Make-A-Wish and all of these campaigns. He ends up winning the championship from MJF. You go that route, you have your top guy, you have your John Cena. You have that top guy, and right now when I look at this company, I don't know who that person is. I can tell you who's great talent. I can name a lot of people as great talent, but this is the guy that should be the guy. AEW hasn't established that, by the way. They did. Cody Rhodes was known as the guy in AEW, but they don't have that anymore. So now it leads me to think they need something. This could be that thing. What do you guys think?